September 4th, 2025. The fashion world lost its last emperor. Giorgio Armani passed away at 91 in Milan and took with him not just a legendary career, but an entire philosophy of how fashion should work. He worked until his final days, still overseeing collections and projects, still refusing to step down from his throne. He had been preparing to celebrate his company's 50th anniversary later this month, a milestone he'll never see. In an industry obsessed with selling out to the highest bidder, Giorgio Armani built a billion-dollar empire and never gave up control. Not once. While every other major fashion house got swallowed by luxury conglomerates, he remained the sole owner, the final decision-maker, the emperor of his own world until the very end. So what is Giorgio Armani's true legacy? What does his life reveal about the price of absolute power and the danger of never letting go? To really understand the man who reshaped modern fashion, we need to rewind the clock. Because the brand you've seen everywhere didn't just sell suits. Nope, it redefined how the world looks at style today. Stick around. You'll be stunned at how deeply Armani's vision still shapes everything you wear. Piacenza, Italy, 1934. Giorgio Armani is born during the Great Depression, in a family that knows nothing about fashion. His father works for a shipping company. His mother manages the household. This is industrial northern Italy, where practicality matters more. During World War II, food is rationed, fabric is scarce, survival is more important than aesthetics. But maybe this scarcity teaches young Giorgio something important, that true elegance comes from restraint, not excess. Now, the path to fashion isn't direct. He enrolls in medical school at the University of Milan to study anatomy and the human body for 3 years. This knowledge will later inform how he cuts clothes to flatter natural proportions, but at the time, he's just a reluctant medical student who can't find his passion. In 1957, he drops out and, through family connections, lands a job at La Rinascente, Milan's most prestigious department store. It's nothing glamorous, he's just a window dresser and buyer, but he's learning retail from the ground up. And this will also be useful as it teaches him how clothes actually sell, what customers really want, and how to balance creativity with sales. After 7 years, he moves to Nino Cerruti's company as a designer. This gives him his first taste of actual fashion creation, but he's still an employee, still following someone else's vision, and still dreaming of something bigger. In 1970, at 36, Giorgio makes the decision that changes everything. He partners with Sergio Galeotti, his romantic and business partner, to start their own company. They fund this dream by selling Giorgio's Volkswagen for $10,000, their entire startup capital for what would become a billion-dollar empire. Giorgio handles design while Sergio manages business operations. It's built on complete trust and complementary skills, a partnership that will define the next 15 years of his life. Their timing couldn't be more perfect. Italian fashion is exploding internationally, and there's room for new voices who understand style. But Giorgio isn't trying to be revolutionary here. He's being evolutionary, in the sense that he takes classic tailoring and makes it relevant for modern life. The early 70s established credibility within Italian fashion circles. Giorgio's approach to menswear, like softer shoulders, more comfortable fits, but still undeniably elegant, catches attention from fashion editors who appreciate this fresh take on masculine dressing. The moment comes through Hollywood costume designers who need clothes that look expensive on camera but are still comfortable during long shooting days, and Giorgio's designs are perfect for this. But 1980 changes everything, launching not just Giorgio's career, but his entire cultural mythology. The movie is American Gigolo, and Richard Gere wears Armani throughout. That opening scene becomes iconic. Gere's character laying out clothes with obsessive precision while Blondie's "Call Me" pulses underneath. The camera treats each Armani piece like precious jewelry, and audiences worldwide suddenly understand that Italian tailoring can be sexy, modern, and utterly desirable. The impact is immediate and global. Men who've never heard of Giorgio Armani suddenly want to dress like Richard Gere's character. The suit becomes a symbol of sophisticated masculinity, not just professional requirement. Giorgio understands that one movie isn't enough to build an empire. He capitalizes on this exposure by expanding into women's wear, accessories, and multiple brand tiers. Giorgio Armani for luxury customers, Emporio Armani for younger markets, eventually Armani Exchange for mass appeal. This multi-level approach revolutionizes fashion business strategy. Most designers believe accessibility dilutes prestige, but Giorgio proves you can serve different segments without having to give up your core brand identity. The 80s become his. His women's wear launches with the same philosophy: comfort without sacrificing elegance. He creates the power suit for professional women who need authority without aggression. The shoulders are structured but never harsh, always wearable. His success attracts corporate suitors. Major luxury conglomerates approach with acquisition offers throughout the 80s. The value is enormous. It's enough to make him rich beyond imagination without him having to work a single day. Ever. But Giorgio declines every single offer, not because the money isn't attractive, but because he can't imagine surrendering creative control to corporate executives who might not understand or respect his artistic vision. He watches other celebrated designers sell their companies only to struggle later under corporate oversight, forced to compromise their aesthetic sensibilities for quarterly profit targets and shareholder expectations. This decision to remain independent becomes central to his identity and business philosophy. Very different from Gucci and later Versace, who eventually become parts of larger luxury conglomerates. The independence comes with costs, though. Corporate ownership often opens the door for aggressive expansion, marketing budgets that independent companies can't match, and access to global distribution networks. Giorgio must build these capabilities organically, which sometimes means growing more slowly than competitors, but it also has benefits to it that prove invaluable over time. Every decision can be made based on what's best for the brand's long-term artistic integrity instead of short-term financial performance. Then comes 1985. Sergio Galeotti dies suddenly of a heart attack at just 40 years old, leaving Giorgio devastated both personally and professionally. Sergio wasn't just his business partner and romantic companion, he was the one person Giorgio trusted completely to handle everything beyond creative work. The loss forces Giorgio to confront aspects of business management he'd never needed to understand before. Instead of hiring professional management or bringing in business partners who might provide needed expertise, Giorgio makes a fateful choice to maintain personal control over every aspect of the company. This decision, born from grief and a desire to honor Sergio's memory, shapes the next 4 decades of his career while creating both his greatest strengths and most important weaknesses. The control Giorgio has becomes absolute, as it extends to literally every level of company operations. He personally approves store designs, marketing campaigns, expansion plans, and major hiring decisions. He reviews every piece in each collection, insists on seeing all important business decisions before they're implemented. But this hands-on approach ensures absolute brand consistency across all products and markets. When customers buy something with the Armani name, they know it reflects Giorgio's personal aesthetic philosophy and quality standards. The brand never feels confused because one person controls its entire expression, from high-end couture to mass-market accessories. Because of this, the company can only grow as fast as Giorgio can personally oversee that growth, which limits expansion opportunities and slows decision-making processes. As Giorgio ages, these limitations become even more apparent, but he shows no interest in meaningful delegation of authority or development of institutional decision-making processes. Maybe a bit of a control freak. What do you think? Is this key to what made its company special, or did it hold it back of what it could have become? Throughout the 2000s and 2010s, fashion consolidation speeds up. The landscape shifts dramatically. Brands that once stood for individual vision become subsidiaries of massive corporate machines focused on quarterly earnings and global expansion. Giorgio becomes increasingly isolated in his independence, as he watches peers like Valentino, Bottega Veneta, and countless turn to corporate resources. Each acquisition reinforces his belief that selling means losing everything that matters about a designer's work. The fashion press starts calling him the last holdout, sometimes admiringly, sometimes with subtle criticism that he's being stubborn or old-fashioned. But Giorgio sees it differently. He views himself as preserving something precious that the industry is systematically destroying. Still, acquisition offers continue, now with valuations in the billions. Private equity, luxury conglomerates, sovereign wealth funds all approach with proposals that would make him among fashion's wealthiest people. But his response remains the same: the company isn't for sale. In his final interview with the Financial Times last week, he spoke about a gradual transition of responsibilities to family members and his design team, specifically mentioning Leo Dell'Orco, head of men's design. But concrete succession plans remained vague. Obviously, with his passing, these will become a huge priority now. Following Armani's passing, Hollywood stars, fellow designers, and fashion industry leaders have flooded social media with tributes. Anna Wintour called him someone who understood power and attitude and elegance as well as anyone ever has in fashion. Julia Roberts, who wore his iconic oversized gray suit to the 1990 Golden Globes, called him a true friend and a legend. Cindy Crawford, heartbroken by the news, described him as a true master of his craft on Instagram. Even his business rival, Donatella Versace, put aside decades of competition to honor him, posting, "The world lost a giant today. He made history and will be remembered forever." Victoria Beckham reflected on losing a true legend and feeling honored to have called him a friend. At 90, he was still working with remarkable intensity, overseeing collections and expansion plans. The Armani Group produces multiple collections yearly across numerous brands and price points, all needing his personal approval. He had been preparing for his company's 50th anniversary celebration this month, with fashion shows and exhibitions planned across Milan. The Armani Group generates $2.3 billion in annual revenue and employs thousands worldwide through a distribution network of nearly 3,000 points of sale across 46 countries, but has no clear leadership transition plan. Bloomberg valued the company between $9.3 to $11.7 billion as of 2024. It is pretty much an empire. But perhaps his most important legacy is proving that individual vision can still win in a corporate-dominated world. The question now is whether what he built can survive without him. Can the Armani empire transition to new leadership while maintaining the values and aesthetic vision that made it successful? Or will it inevitably become another corporate fashion brand, professionally managed but lacking the singular vision that made it special? The company statement emphasized that employees and family members commit to protecting what he built and carrying his company forward in his memory with respect, responsibility, and love. But statements are easier than execution, especially when the company structure was built around one person's absolute control. Giorgio Armani's death marks the end of an era, not just for Italian fashion, but for the entire concept of designer-owned luxury brands. He was the last emperor standing, the final major designer who never sold out, never compromised, never let corporate interests override creative vision. His reign lasted 50 years, from a small Milan startup to a global empire. But emperors, by definition, eventually fall. The fashion world will spend years analyzing his influence, studying his business model, trying to understand how one person built and controlled such a vast enterprise for so long. But his real legacy isn't just what he built, it's what he represented. The last emperor of Italian fashion is gone. Rest in peace, King Giorgio. Your legacy will outlive us all. What do you think? What will happen next? Who will take the big empty throne? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments about it. And if you thought the Armani Empire was a good story, you won't want to miss the crazy saga behind the Halston brand. Probably the most insane story in fashion. Click on it now or select what YouTube thinks you'll enjoy most next. Until next time.